Hello everybody, welcome to the TraderMerlin Show. It is your Monday edition, the sweltering Monday edition it seems to be across the U.S. I see John saying hello from a very warm Las Vegas. You got to be triple digits, John. It's a good 80-something down here in Southern California. I have friends in Colorado saying it's super hot, so stay cool out there, everybody. Hope you're doing well on our Monday, the 17th of July today. All right, so as you guys may recall on Friday's show, I had this real bullish bias for Monday's session. Of course, I could say anything could change by Monday morning. And boy, the way this market opened up, we rallied aggressively on the NASDAQ for the first 10 minutes. And I saw the dollar index surging. I saw yields rising. So I started loading the boat on the... There's no graphic today? I didn't upload the graphic. This is the graphic for today. I guess I was in too much of a haste to do the thumbnail. I'll upload that later. This is the AI generated picture. Thanks, Thomasine. I was wondering, I'm like, what's she talking about? Yeah, bulls continue to dominate is the thumbnail there. There you go. That is AI generated. And the bull looks ripped, by the way. And again, today's session was a little bit off for me. I took a pretty good stinger today, loss-wise, but it's okay. We will recoup it. It happens. But here's kind of what I was thinking, and then I'll go into the bulls will continue to dominate. I just want to walk you through the loss I had. So I was on the NASDAQ 100. And I was looking really for it to, here are the triple Qs, waiting for it to break down below the low of Friday's candle, which we've talked about is kind of one of the ways I like to trade shooting stars. So the way it transpired today, it actually gapped up. It started selling off, and that's when I started building a short position. And things are going pretty good for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, if you look at the intraday price here of the QQQs, we just kept ripping and ripping and ripping and ripping. It was like, come on, man, you got to be kidding me. Anyway, I took a nice loss on that one to start my day. Not the way I want to start off the Monday, but we have the whole week ahead of us to recoup those losses. Good news is I made up for some other things, but that was the one that I was focusing on. I was really planning on having a heavy trade this morning. And having it close this gap, ultimately breaking down below 387.18 on the triple Qs, and then for having a great day. But I didn't. It's okay. So let's two things. Number one, I will start off with this graphic here, which of course the bulls continue to dominate. Surprising, although given the data, it's getting harder and harder for me to find justification for a market correction here. The data keeps getting better and better, and we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. But right now, things looking pretty darn good. Now, before I do that, got to do the gratuitous marketing. I will be in Las Vegas on the 9th of August, doing a presentation for the Money Show. It's the Investment Master Symposium. I'll be doing a discussion on building a crypto portfolio to prepare for the future. All right, very timely topic. That's going to be on Wednesday the 9th, I believe at 1 p.m. I'll confirm that. I do see that some people have been asking me that they want to come up to Las Vegas and maybe we can go out and have a bite to eat or something. Yeah, we can definitely do something like that. So let me know if you are going to be up in the Vegas area. Maybe we'll plan on a lunch after the presentation or before. Either way, we can connect up there in Las Vegas. For those who plan on being up in the area, it should be a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to go into the top 7 here and work our way from the bottom to the top just so we can kind of get that one out of the way. Crude oil today. This is our 5-minute. Let's go back to the daily. And again, I'm going to do a shorter show today. I apologize, but I've got an hour-and-a-half presentation with Larry Jacobson for Online Trading Academy. It's a focus session talking about digital assets and kind of, what are some of the opportunities that present themselves in digital assets and cryptocurrencies, which I know many of you are already aware of, but you can find that if you're an Online Trading Academy graduate in my OTA. I think there's some focus session coming up that you can join into from my OTA. So there you go. From the bottom, so this is one that actually did follow through. We talked about this big bearish engulfing formation that happened on crude oil on Friday's session. It was a very ominous looking candle. Big red one engulfed the entire Thursday trading session. And typically, you get a follow through, and we did today. All in all, you saw a 1.7% slide for crude oil today, making it your worst performer. Moving up that ladder, Bitcoin, I'm getting a little concerned. You guys notice I have that lower line right there. What is it, 29,740? Pretty much hit that today. That was the low of today's session. Down 0.88% over the weekend for Bitcoin, but the last 2 days don't look pretty good Friday's session and, of course, this Monday session you're seeing here on this futures chart. All in all, not feeling that great about it. Just kind of keeps feeling it's getting weaker, even though you may have seen this in the news, even though the SEC has acknowledged that they received BlackRock and a couple other spot Bitcoin ETF applications, which means that they typically begin the process of review of those applications. So this is the furthest that they've kind of gone forward with these applications that have come in, other than just outright just declining them. Nope, not going to take it. Now they're doing the review. So I like the fact that the SEC is potentially going to take action here with a spot Bitcoin ETF. Not really a big fan of the way that Bitcoin is reacting. I expected more there. And thank you, Big Eb. Yeah, the Fed Now discussion on the Money Show. Thanks. That was a fun one. And for those of you who didn't get a chance to see it, I have it up on my YouTube channel. If you go to TraderMerlin, it should be under videos there. It's actually the recording I did for the Money Show, and they said I was okay to post it, so I posted it. And, we are experiencing a lot of very interesting things with regards to digitization of money, just like we saw the digitization of information, just like we saw the advancements in auto. There are progressions that are happening, and I think that money is the next logical step of progression. And this Fed Now program, a lot of people are screaming and kicking, going, oh, this is terrible, this is terrible. It's not that terrible. I think it's actually a good thing on some. There's some pros and cons to it. The Fed Now program I'm actually in favor of, because I think it creates efficiencies with our banking system that need to be there. But then it leads to a CBDC, and maybe I'll do a special on just TraderMerlin, which will outline kind of the issues with CBDCs, pros, cons, and what it means to you and me, because that starts to get a little bit more Orwellian in their control over you and I, transactions, censorship, and et cetera. So yeah, if you get a chance, check that one out. It's on the TraderMerlin YouTube page. Moving up our ladder, 10-year. So you saw a little, our Monday action, we had that nice, it was gapped down a little bit, but at the point I was looking at going long on the equity markets, this thing was starting to looking to go short in the equity markets. This was starting to rally up, and that gave me my little glimmer of hope. I was feeling optimistic that we'd see some momentum, but really didn't move much. The 10-year down 0.05%. In our news session here for Tuesday, was just slightly down on our Monday session. Gold and silver giving back just a little bit. Now you have those two kind of, I don't know what you really call them. We call them a long-legged doji. It's really kind of, an indecision pattern on Thursday and on Friday. Today we got the same thing for gold, right? No real clear direction. It has a very small real body, meaning they open and close relatively the same, and you have no decisive direction. So that's not a great thing for commodities, at least at this moment in time. And a lot of it has to do with this dollar index, which today had a little bit of a red candle. And at one point, it was looking nice and green. Again, that's why I was looking at going short the equity markets, and then everything just kind of turned around and ate away all my gains in those trades I was in and put me in some negative, but it's okay. All in all, if you look at what's going on with this dollar index, we talked about it breaking some of these key levels like 101.90 and then breaking down below 100, and now we've done that. The question becomes, where are we going to see it fall to next? The only real logical big stopping point I see is right around 97 3/4, which would be a long way down from current levels. If we get to that point, the market's going to be probably hitting all-time highs if we can get the dollar that weak. But I don't think personally we're going to get that low with the dollar index, but we will wait and see. Now it's podium times. Bronze medal is the S&P 500 is up 0.29% as we speak right now. And again, you had that shooting star pattern on Friday. I loved it. I was waiting for it to break down. I went with the NASDAQ instead of the S&P, and the predominant reason I did that was I felt, and I know this is going to be a tricky one, if I have to look at those two, both the S&P and the NASDAQ had shooting stars on Friday. I'll show you both of those right now. So here's the S&P. Let's do the ETFs, SPY. All right, so the SPY doesn't. So if you look at the futures on the S&P, they did. There's your shooting star for the S&P. There's your shooting star for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ looked more powerful as a shooting star reversal pattern because it has a smaller real body and a longer topping tail. So that's what I was looking at, really expecting it to drop down below this. I got aggressive. I should have waited. This is an example of why you set the rules, and I jumped the gun on my short trade on the NASDAQ today, and of course I got my butt kicked for it. That's what you get for not following your rules. I should have waited for it to break down below that line at 15,660 on the triple Qs. And the main reason I went with that, again, is the shooting star, but also the rebalancing. As you guys may know, we are talking about the rebalancing of the NASDAQ as we speak. And I think that this is going to be a topic all week long because I haven't seen anything definitive about what exactly is taken out and replaced yet. From all the things I was reading, Friday was supposed to be that day that we were supposed to know, okay, Apple's weighting is going to get cut to this. Microsoft's going to get cut to this. And these are the ones we're going to increase the percentage holdings of. But we didn't see that. I read a lot of stuff over the weekend and this morning and today dealing with the expectations. Now, for most of the stuff that I've read, the changes aren't going to be that significant. So, for example, here we have the current weightings of the NASDAQ 100 for you. Microsoft is number one at 12.79% of the index. Expectations are that's going to drop to 9.8. So that's a 3% decline in Microsoft, which means the Microsoft shares will probably start to sell off this week based off that allocation, if those numbers are correct. The next one is Apple, which right now is at 12.076%, and expectations are that's only going to get cut 0.5%. So really not big changes. I was kind of expecting and hoping that we would see these indexes drop below, or these top two here, Microsoft and Apple, drop below 10% weighting in those indexes. That's kind of what I was hoping for. But again, it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Now, of course, some of these others, NVIDIA, Amazon, Tesla, Meta, Alphabet, those are probably going to drop as well. However, there are some that are going to, potentially going to be moving up. And some of those names that have been thrown in the hat, some that I certainly think should be there, Modelens, I can never pronounce the damn thing, MDLZ, snacks and foods. Right, gotta go snacks and foods, but there's MDLZ over the past week. Has had a nice run up, but still looking pretty weak over the past couple of months. Really peaked out in May of this year and has been selling off ever since. So that's one that might get a bump up. Another one would be Starbucks, which has had a nice run, SBUX. Right, you have that same nice little pop right in that period of time where they made the announcement that they're going to be rebalancing the NASDAQ 100. The best one out there is AVGO. But this is having that big run because of the AI stocks, right? Broadcom with their Snapdragon chip is one of the big popular ones in the AI space, although they're doing more AI on phones, not really for computing, but they could get there with their technology. That's another one that they're talking about increasing the weightings on. And what was the other guy? Gilead Pharmaceuticals. So it's interesting that you got different companies in here. You've got, or Gilead Sciences. You've got a pharmaceutical. You've got retail with Starbucks. Another one that they talked about adding is ADP, right? So you got automatic data processing. That one's had a great run over the past couple of weeks. But those are some of the additions that are going to be changing there. What does Big Eb say? Is the NASDAQ rebalancing a net no change? I mean, some out, others in. There's nothing new. There's no new addition. So they're not going to change any components of the 100 at this meeting. It's just a rebalancing of the weightings so you don't get too far ahead with one of them. That's all they're really doing. It's kind of like, if you take the strategic investor course at OTA, one of the things that we recommend, and I strongly encourage, especially if you're in a long-term investment portfolio, is every year, at the end of the year, you should sit down and say, okay, my portfolio, well, I'm just making it up. My portfolio was 25%, large cap stocks. Well, now at the end of the year, that might be 40% because large caps have been doing great. Well, maybe at the end of the year, you rebalance, you sell some of your large caps, lock in those profits, you put them back to 25%, and then maybe small caps underperformed for you, and that was 25%, but now it's only 12%. Well, you refill that back up to 25, and therefore you rebalance everything to your original formulas, and that's kind of what the NASDAQ is going to try to do here. Those top 7 holdings of the NASDAQ accounted for 55% of the index. That's too much. That's a systemic problem there, because if those top 7 tank, then the whole thing's tanking, and that could create a market risk out there, which is not a very good thing. And yes, it does make a difference. It's a huge difference between is there actually new additions, but even the rebalancing. So what we may have seen last week is some buying coming into those securities that they thought would have a heavier weighting, because any ETF or any mutual fund that's tracking the NASDAQ 100 index is now going to have to sell some Apple and Microsoft, which they may have done already. They may be waiting. I'm not sure. But you're going to have to see some selling pressure in some symbols and buying pressure in others to get that balanced out. And that's happening as we speak. But that wasn't your best performer of the day. Russell 2000 was your best performer on the day. Really just kind of sandwiching Friday's decline. It looked kind of ugly on Friday, and then today just ripped it right back up. You're up 1.09% for the Russell 2000 on the day, making it a pretty nice gainer. So that is our run through of our quick markets. I didn't see anything else out there that was really extraordinary or crazy. I did mention that I would give you guys the choice of what I should do with my Tesla puts. And I will show you that right now. We'll TSLA. So there you go. So I sold the 240 puts on Tesla. Right now we're at 290. So the odds are fairly slim that Tesla's going to drop. Oh, not slim, but that Tesla's going to drop 17%. All right, and that's a big question for me, and I don't know whether I'm going to take that risk on Tuesday. I will let you guys be the deciding factor there. So, and we'll make that decision tomorrow. Just think about it. You guys get to navigate that trade for me. Otherwise, I'm just going to collect all the premium and let it ride. But Tesla comes out with earnings after market close on Wednesday, and that's pretty significant because, obviously it's one of those popcorn trades where it could have tremendous volatility. Now, the good news for anybody here who's bullish on Tesla is they just started production of the Cybertruck, and that's I think it's Austin, Texas, one of the Texas super plants they have. They just started production of it, which it's been delayed and delayed and delayed. It's been one of those things that's been put off for a while. I don't know if you guys caught it today, but Ford took a nosedive. Let's take a look at Ford. Right, Ford tanked, and why, you might ask? Well, Elon Musk was talking about Ford, and I gotta love Elon Musk. I mean, just this guy has so much power. They were asking him about the Ford Lightning. He goes, "It's a great truck, but it's pretty overpriced." So Ford he said, for what it is, it's really overpriced. And that has a lot of people believing that when this Tesla Cybertruck comes out, it's going to be cheaper than the Ford Lightning, which would have the Tesla truck flying off the shelves. In theory, right? We don't know. Some people may be totally opposed to. I can't see too many ranchers in middle America going, I'm giving up my Bud Light because of their transgender stuff, and I'm giving up my Ford F-150 for a Tesla. I'm not sure we're there yet. We could at some point. But they dropped, I think, the prices between $6,000 and $10,000 for the Ford F-150 Lightning just today, which is telling you that Ford's going to be a little bit nervous about that Cybertruck coming out, and that caused Ford's price to drop as they dump the prices of that F-150. I may find myself actually jumping to a Ford. It's crazy to think that. I don't really think I want to own a Tesla truck yet. I will wait and see. But boy, if those F-150 prices keep dropping, I might find some great deals by the end of the year, and I may get it. I'm opposed to an ugly truck like the Cybertruck. It's just different, Big Eb. It's just different. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I remember an art class I took years ago, the professor put up Guernica by Picasso. And everybody raves about Guernica. If you guys don't know which one Guernica is, let me see if I can type it in here to show you, because, let's see, Geuernica. Something like that. I don't know, I didn't think it was that amazing of a picture, and everybody just boasts about how amazing it is. I was like, well, it's cool. I like the idea, but let me see if I can bring up the picture for you. There it is. There's Guernica. That's Guernica by Picasso. Probably one of the most valuable paintings ever. And it's kind of cool. I like the mixed media and the abstract weirdness of it. But, some people look at this and go, that is ugly. Ugly. Horrible. Others think it's beautiful. And I argue that Tesla truck is in that same boat. I think it's unique in the sense it's just so different than everything else that's on the market. But look, we're so used to conventional vehicles. I mean, even when Toyota Tundra redid the front end of their truck, it was like, oh, wow, would you do that? It's terrible. It looks horrible. Now it's grown on me, and I kind of like it. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what that Tesla truck finally looks like. And it's not just the look of it; it's what the utility is. Like, here's why I think Tesla Cybertruck could do really good. I know, and I've seen there's a whole bunch of bolt-ons, plug-on parts. People are building all these accessories for that Tesla truck, from camper shells to all kinds of cool camping gear and really fun stuff that could make that thing amazing. And I don't know. I'm not going to rule it out. But look, if I have the Ford F-150, which I know has a proven track record, it's got, it's Ford. Now, granted, it's probably not as reliable as a Toyota. Some of the Ford owners are going to hate me for saying that. Track records show Toyota are one of the most reliable vehicle makers out there, but they've gotten a lot better. So if the Ford F-150 and the Tesla are right around the same price, I'm probably myself going to go with the Ford F-150 Lightning. We'll have to wait and see what that means. I have a feeling that by the end of this year, there could be some great package deals, some incentives, especially if Tesla really starts rolling out that Cybertruck. But again, Picasso did acid. I think a lot of these guys did drugs. You think that Van Gogh was a sober individual? Boy, some of his pictures. How about Salvador Dali? If you guys ever have the time, go to, it's called Figueres, Spain. It's where Salvador Dali grew up. It was his home. And his childhood home I think it's a childhood home, is now a museum. And man, that guy, talk about some trippy artwork. Woo! Crazy, crazy stuff. All right, we've diverged greatly from the original topic, which was Tesla and Ford. And it wasn't just Ford. It's Rivian over the past couple weeks has had just an unbelievable run up there for Rivian. They've done very well. But Ford and some of the other automakers may be feeling a little bit of pressure because Tesla is very close to rolling that production out. And I saw here from John, he says there can be several different versions. I'm sure there will definitely be different versions of that. Tom says Cybertruck looks like the love child of the DeLorean. It does look like the DeLorean. It really does have the DeLorean look. Yeah, you're right. I actually liked the DeLorean back in the day, probably because of Back to the Future. How can you not like it? GD says, how about Gaudi? That's another one. If you're ever in Barcelona, just wander through the streets of Barcelona and look at all the stuff that Gaudi has built, and go up to Park Güell in Barcelona. Holy cow, man. That's a psychedelic dream up there. What a cool looking place. Yeah. The dripping clocks was Salvador Dali, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, the museum is his old home. I've been to that one. That was really fun. Anyway, I'm going off topic today. Sorry, guys. We've talked about art, we've talked about cars, talking about markets, just having all kinds of fun. So we'll make that decision tomorrow. As a group, you guys can let me know what you think on the Tesla. I'm not going to give you my opinion yet. I'll just let you guys determine that one. I'll see. Majority will win. I'm either going to hold it all the way through to expiration. Right now, it's great. I'm in the money huge on my options. But I'll let you guys decide that one for fun. Let me go into some listener questions here. This one's from Skilled Stocksman, which I think I saw you here earlier. He says, Mini has all the volume on every product, but is there ever a time that the micro contract can dictate where the mini contract prices go? Say if someone or a group just dumps or buys the hell out of a product in the micro side, could that ever be enough to dictate what the mini price would be, even for just a few minutes? Or do you think that could be for hours possibly, or not at all? So they're really 1/10, right? When you look at the micro, it's 1/10 the mini. And the mini is a fraction of the larger contract as well. So what will happen is, first off, I don't think that there will ever be a situation where the mini dictates where the micro dictates where the market's going to go. And the reason is this. As soon as somebody starts buying up, like loading the boat on minis, they're spending a ton of commission. They're going to have to spend a lot of money to buy those micro contracts. Whereas if they're trying to move the market, they could be better off just buying the minis or just buying the SPUs, the actual SPU. So I don't think that would happen where the minis would actually start to move something. Maybe in something that was illiquid. But remember, most of the micro contracts that they're putting out are for the popular, more liquid securities anyways, or liquid futures contracts anyway. So Stocksman, for me, I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it could I mean, I guess in theory, everything could happen. But if I have to put on a scale of 100% absolutely could happen and 0 not a chance in hell, I'd put it down at the maybe 1% chance. Like, yeah, it could, but someone would have to unload so many of these things that the arbitrage, I think the other side would just take the, I think what happened is if someone started selling, just unloading the micros, as many as they possibly could, I think what would happen is institutions would see that and they'd actually start buying the big contracts just to squeeze them out. Because why would you do it? Why would you go and attack at the micro level when you could go to the minis or go to the SPUs and really move the market that way? That's how I view it. I just don't think that the micros have that much power. Really, in my mind, the only purpose for micro is to get new traders to understand multiple contracts. So in your mind, you could say, okay, I got one micro contract. Well, not going to make money on that thing. But I don't think that people should trade one futures contract either. I think you should trade multiples, right? So you buy in, let's say, 2 or 3 contracts. Therefore, you give yourself the opportunity to scale out of one at different targets and start to have bigger runners and keep some of your position. Now, you can do that with micros, right? You could buy 10 micros, and okay, it's the same as a mini. Fine. So I've got 10 micros, and maybe my first target, I scale out of 3. So I got 7 left. Second target, scale out another 3. Got 4 left, right? And now I really just let that one run. I can't do that if I buy one mini, which is 10 micros. So that's really the only purpose I see for the micros. Plus, you're paying a commission on them, and the commission to buy 10 micros is higher than it would be to buy one mini. All right, the Aztec was unique. Oh, man. Would have been better received badge as a Subaru Scion. Front end was designed by... Man, that car was one of the ugliest cars. Oh, GD, you said the Aztec was cute? Cute? Holy cow. Pontiac Aztec? It's actually a collector's item right now. Those Pontiac Aztecs are... There's actually a value there, but, brother, if you think this is a cute-looking car, I gotta just... Really? Do you think that's a cute-looking car? I don't know. Yeah, this is... This looks like a Franken car to me. I don't know. It just seems... Something's wrong with this car. The only real cool part about it is I think, like, this guy has it right here. You could pop the hatch and make, like, a tent out of it. Well, that's what we say. Different strokes for different folks, right, GD? Merlin would like the Toyota. If it was a Toyota, no. I think that's kind of an ugly-looking car. It's especially the back end. It's this weird, like, kind of beetle. Nah, not for me. But, hey, different strokes for different folks. All right, what are the questions I have? Make sure I stick it on time. I'm going to end here relatively soon. What was the one? Oh, you guys may be able to help me on this one. So I'm gonna deflect to you guys to get a little bit of help here. So we've talked about journaling a lot. I am all about journaling. I don't really do much of it anymore, but when I started out, I think it was absolutely critical to me helping understand myself. What am I doing? Where's my emotion? All this stuff. So I think it's critical. So this question came in. It's a good one. Eric says, I'm also currently evaluating different journaling software as I'm just trying to automate the process to as simple as possible. What are your thoughts? Notebook, right? Journaling can be tedious at best when you do it manually with details. I am actually poor at it, to be honest, and then I fail to be consistent as needed. You mentioned a notebook, and the data gets lost in translation when later reviewed. I'm looking at TradeView, TraderSync, and Kinfo. Your thoughts? I don't know these programs because I've never actually looked at them. I've never used them, so I have to plead the fifth there, Eric, but I'm sure somebody in this room right now will give you a little bit of feedback on it. I'm not the type that says I need to go back and look a decade, right? I just need to maybe last couple months, I'll refresh some of the more important trades that I've made and learned from. So I still think that the best way to go is just a spiral notebook. I actually printed out pages at a certain point that had a template on it, which saved me, here's the reasons why this could go in my direction, here's why it could go against me, here's what I was thinking that day, here's my entry, stop loss, target, and then a review of it. And then I would print out a small picture and tape it in there, just so I had a picture of the trade setup. Now, ideally, I would have what the market looked like that day, what my stock looked like that day. But for me, it was really more about reviewing my mood, emotions, and looking at the charts, and did I set my entry, stop loss, price targets correctly? Did I overlook some of the pros and cons of getting into that trade? Could one of those have moved against me, and did I overlook things? That really was the benefit for me, especially when you have like a big loser. Always great to go back and review. Why did you lose so much money? And again, I have my 10 laws around here somewhere, but those 10 laws were built because of bad mistakes. I could go back and put a price tag on each of my 10 laws, and those are all recorded in my trading journal. I knew those trades. It was that's another good one. Ricardo says Excel with screen captures. You could do that as well. You'd have to have a place to put them all in a nice, concise record. But you could have a folder and say, here's my Broadcom trade from, give the date, or just, there you go. And you can search by the ticker symbol. That's another way to do it. Save yourself some money. Margaret says, I use screenshots and type on them. Nice. Yeah, I know a lot of the XLT instructors do that as well. They'll take a screenshot and they'll write on what was going on. I think that's a good one. Lee says, use OneNote with screenshots. Cool. What else? Center console. The Aztec had a center console with a removable cooler. See, I think that's just promoting alcoholism. Oh, man. All right, so a little bit of help there, Eric. I don't think you need to have a software. Look, I'm one of those people that unless you absolutely need a software, don't pay for it. If it's free, great. Alan says Google Sheets with screenshots. That might be good as well. Yeah, I think if you're doing a spreadsheet type thing, that's actually not a bad idea because you could just put them in a folder and just group them by month. So here's January of this year, February, March, April, May, June. Put them in there, and I would put the date and the ticker symbol, and then like plus or minus to show your gains or loss. And that way you can go back and review those trades. And I always remember the bad ones. I don't really remember my good trades. My good trades just all kind of blend and just disappear, honestly. It's the bad ones that really stick with me, and they're the ones that you have to work on to get rid of. Get rid of those bad ones. Let's see. Two other things here, and then I'm going to wrap up. I got to make this a short show because I got to get ready for my my 4 o'clock, but I still have to build out some slides. So part of the reason that we saw this NASDAQ rebalance, and I should have done this cohesively, but I've been jumping around today. I apologize. What does John say? Corey Trader set up an Excel spreadsheet for our Wealth Essentials trades. I do screenshots and hyperlink them to each trade so I can just... Nice. Love it. I think the Word documents what I was doing them in, but I actually like having a spiral notebook, kind of like this one, but I like the bigger pages. It was just easier for me to write things down and get my thoughts out on paper, and as I was doing the trades, I like that better. Nikki says is almost recording overkill. She really marks up. Some people do. It's funny. Larry does as well. Larry's a chart typer. But you know what? Each of us is going to absorb and retain information differently. So find out what works best for you. I don't type on the charts because I feel like I'd have to put it on there and I end up taking it off. But I like printing out the charts and writing them on them physically. I actually like having the physical one. Let's see. Dave says, what I've been doing my options trades is creating a Word document and taking screenshots of the chart. Options Pro and Excel formulas for profits. I also include my thoughts and results. Awesome, Dave. And I'm sure that's helping you out, right? I mean, that type of stuff, not only does it reinforce the trade because you're typing it all out again, but as you're typing these things, especially if you've had a loser, as you're writing them out, you'll know, this is what I did wrong. You'll know right away. And what I would recommend is if you find that you're making mistakes that cost you money, go to the back page of your notebook and write down on a line, this is a mistake that cost me money. Whatever. I traded too big a size. Okay, write that down. And the next time you do it, put a little hash mark next to it or a dollar amount that you lost on that trade, and you'll start to see that your problems will persist until you address those big issues and get rid of them. Let's see. Yeah, that's clicking the link, pull them up. Yep. I renewed my file afterwards with the results. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, you're similar to what I did. I like the physical writing of them, but I did for a while put them in Word documents. I thought that was easy. What pictures do you, talking to me? What pictures do I have on the wall behind me? Somebody else. I'm assuming that's somebody else. There's no pictures on the wall behind me. I thought about actually going back to a real background as opposed to a green screen, but all right, so let me real quickly wrap this one up. Here is the reason you're seeing that rebalancing. Guys, this is the results of the S&P, the NASDAQ Composite, and the NASDAQ 100 since the beginning of the year, since January 1st. So if you look at the bottom one here, that's your S&P 500, which is the market, right? Broad market, 17.46%. Great. I mean, hell, you're halfway through the year, we're already up 17%. That is awesome. Awesome. If you look at the NASDAQ Composite, which is all of the components of the NASDAQ, all of them, it's up 35%. But if we strip out most of them and just put that NASDAQ 100, it's up 42%. That shouldn't be that far of a separation. That shouldn't be that big of a difference. So anyway, I wanted to share this chart with you. I thought that might be interesting. This is why they're rebalancing. The gap is getting bigger between the NASDAQ 100 and the NASDAQ Composite, which is not really a good thing. That's it, Joe. I'm Merlin. Sorry I'm running late. Wondering if your focus class is still on for today at 4 p.m. How do you access? Yes, it is on 4 p.m. today. It'll be Larry Jacobson's hosting. It should be an hour and a half, really depending on how it goes. You can access that by going to my OTA. Let me real quick see if I can bring it up. I think I'll show you guys all here in just a second. Let me bring that one up here. Okay. Oh, well, I mean, as soon as you log into my OTA, this comes up, which is the talk track for it. So this is the don't miss it, yada, yada, yada. We'll close that, and it's right over here. There's the showcase. I don't know when the link will open up that says attend, but it's right on the right-hand side. Should be able to attend right through there. Should be fun. All right. What else did I have? Oh, one other thing. I meant to bring this up on Friday. If I had to choose a food, I would say that my favorite, if I had to outline the food, and it's probably because of my time when I lived there for several years, it's Italian food. Like, man, a good Italian pasta, just done correctly with the sauces. Mamma mia, che buono. I wanted to bring up charts since, you and I are chart driven. We look at price action of everything. I'm looking at price actions of the Ford F-150 right now thinking, I might be a buyer at a low price here. If I could only sell puts on the Ford F-150 Lightning, if I could sell puts at 35 grand, I'd buy it. Anyway, this chart blew my mind. I was really shocked. The price of olive oil. You guys may not have seen this chart, but I'm going to source it to you. Here you go. This is the chart of olive oil since 2020. Now, it was going for €2 per kilogram. So 2.2 pounds. 2.2 pounds cost you €2. Now, it's over 7. It's almost to 8 right now. $8. So it's gone up 4x in 2 years for the price of olive oil. The Italians must be up in arms, losing their minds that their pasta is costing so much more. Anyway, price charts, man. It's an addiction. I just thought I would show that one to you. What do we have cooking for tomorrow? Let me bring up your economic calendar. Today, we actually had the Empire State Manufacturing Index. Good news. They expected it to be negative, popped up to positive 1.1. That's actually a pretty good sign. Here's the rest of your economic calendar for tomorrow. We have for Canada, they've got a whole bunch of CPI metrics. You got their median, their trim, their common, their core, IPPI, and RMPI numbers. For us, it's all about the retail sales numbers that come out tomorrow. That's going to be 1 hour before the markets open. They're expecting retail sales to jump from 0.3% to 0.5%. But we also have a few other smaller ones for the U.S. TIC long-term purchases, which I really like this number. It tells you what people are buying of the U.S. Bonds and stocks versus we are buying of theirs. You also have the NAHB Housing Market Index. You have FOMC member Barr speaking. He's been good for markets, actually, with his speeches. Business inventories, capacity utilization rate. You have industrial production. That is quite a bit of economic announcements happening for tomorrow. Now, on the earnings front, as we know, earnings season kicked off on Friday. Some great results for JP Morgan, Citibank, and Wells Fargo, and BlackRock. Question is, will the rest of the gang follow suit? Here's what you got cooking for tomorrow's activity. This is before market open. Bank of America, Lockheed Martin, Morgan Stanley, Synchrony Financial, and Charles Schwab will be reporting earnings tomorrow. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to wrap things up early here because I got too much stuff to do. I will see some of you later on today in the focus session. You can register for that by going to your My OTA, log in, and you should see it on the right-hand side there. And that's how you get into that one. What index of the Habit Burgers show up in? It shows up in my memory index, man. I swear, every time I go in there, I'm like, it's more? And it's like they keep tacking on 3 cents, a nickel, a dime. Like it's slightly more and more expensive. Pretty soon, I'm going to have to stop eating at the Habit. Although I did eat at, had a really good burger this weekend at a place called Burger Lounge. It's all grass-fed beef. It's like $9 for a burger, so it's not exactly cheap, and no fries or drink included. So they lose me there with price, but really tasty burger at Burger Lounge. I went to one on 17th in Costa Mesa. I'm sure you'll see it. It looked like a franchise, so I'm sure there's many more around. Okay, that's going to do it for me, everybody. I got to run. Thank you for the show today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully, I'll have some better news on my trades for tomorrow. If you have a specific topic or something you want to discuss, email me, TraderMerlin@gmail.com, or put it down below any of our YouTube videos. I will get to all those. I'll put them all in the slides tonight. Get to all your questions for tomorrow's show. Take care, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.